expect me to apologize?
Here we go. Another day of complaining about which characters are on the roster and which characters are not. There's a lot of characters in Tekken who are super iconic. Lee Wulong, Eddy, Yoshimitsu, Jai. Man, I'm not even gonna name characters. I'll be here naming the whole entire roster. That's just how good the lineup that Tekken has. Now here's the sad part. When you're creating a new game, you have to start over. You have to get rid of that 50 something character roster and go back to 30, regardless of where they put it at, because a lot of players are blaming, oh, it's a 32 character roster, that's the problem. It should have been more characters. Regardless of what it is, there would have been characters who were gone, whether they did 32, 36, or 40, because Tekken 7 had 51 characters on the roster and there was still easily a handful of characters that was missing. That's just what happens when you have a stacked roster. Now, characters is being revealed for Tekken 8. Some people know about the leaks, some people don't. I won't spoil anything in this video, but as we see character upon character, the anticipation is rising. People are getting frustrated. Players are saying, I pre-ordered this game, but where's my character? You spend all this time learning a character, like for me, Yoshimitsu, that's my guy. Yes, I could play other characters, but I don't want to play other characters. Yoshimitsu is the best character in Tekken. Tekken would be nothing without... Okay, let me stop trolling. I don't know why I troll so much in these videos. I know Tekken fans cannot handle jokes. So serious. And I will admit, revealing one character at Tokyo Game Show, for that character to be Panda was wild. They could have chose a better character than that. I'll be honest and say that straight up. A statue too, not even a trailer. But everyone was angry, and now we're looking at two bears being on the roster. And also we're looking at Shahid being on the roster. There is no Eddy, there is no Armor King, there is no Queen of Tekken, Anna Williams. We have her sister, Anna Williams, but what about the real queen? Anna Williams. This is what everyone is saying. A tweet that went out. What do you mean you have room for two bears but not the Queen of Tekken? This tweet went viral. Now first, let me address the two bears. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but Kuma has some of Heihachi's attacks. Kuma was trained by Heihachi, so in the story it said that he's harnessing his inner Heihachi Mishima. Now Panda, once again, in the images we can see Panda doing some of Zhao Yu's attacks. These two bears, yes, they're both bears, but they're being diversified, they're being changed. The developers hearing our complaints about clones on the roster, same character, lol, and they're changing both characters. I think a better example is Yoshimitsu and Kurimitsu. Those two characters started off as pretty, the same as one another, but over each iteration, Kurimitsu kind of became her own character. Now in Tekken 7, she's really not a clone, she's really something different completely. Is that what they're doing for Kuma and Panda? You could say yes, you can say no, but only time will tell how different these two characters are. But that still doesn't bring up the criticism about, regardless, there's two bears, one who's very unpopular on the roster. I like to bring up statistics. I'm Mr. Statistics. Look at the statistics, look at the usage data. If we look at the statistics and the usage data for Tekken 7 at the end of a lifespan, Kuma and Panda is at the very bottom with Eliza sandwiched in between. Now, will this change in Tekken 8? Probably not. I doubt these characters are going to rise up and all of a sudden become even like middle tier, right? Because top tier, you can never surpass a King, a Claudio, a Lars, a Jin, a Fang. Those characters will always hold like the top 10 to 15 section. But everything under that is up for grabs and changes quite a lot, especially when you're talking about buffing and nerfing tournament viability. All of that stuff matters, but no matter what, Panda and Kuma stays at the bottom, just like Ganri, just like Zafina, another character people who say why she's on the roster. But I think Zafina is pretty important. She has Azazel in her hand, possibly one of the most important characters in story, I was saying there's no way they could tell Tekken 8, the story of Tekken 8, without her. Now she's on the roster. Shahid, what is that guy doing there? If we're gonna blame anyone for stealing anyone's spot, I think we all should point fingers at him. Now, I do gotta bring up, I did a poll a couple of months ago, which character do you want to get a second chance? And he won that poll. And I stacked him against other characters in Tekken 7 who are controversial or who's hated. So, I mean, I kind of can see why he returns as well. But all that aside, let's go back to this tweet. The tweet says, but not the Queen of Tekken, talking about Anna. Here's the thing, right? The tragedy with fighting games today, it's a cursing and a blessing. More a cursing than a blessing, but still. The DLC Season 1 is being made at the same time as the base roster, and the developers of these games are intentionally separating them. The 4 characters that release in Season 1 of Tekken 8 should have been and would have been on the base roster if DLC didn't exist. Now, that's the sticky part, right? They're removing stuff and selling it to us later. The good part is, once we get past Season 1 and we get to Season 2, 3, 4, 5 maybe, that is when we get extra. Of course, we always got to pay, so it's not really extra, but we get characters like Bruce and whoever is going to be in that second, third, fourth, fifth season. That is when it kind of gets good, but at the start is definitely very sour. And then another thing is too, I don't know who will show up as DLC. Anna, Bruce, Eddy, Armor King, Bob, Miguel. Who knows what characters they will put as DLC for Tekken. They could really get crazy with it. But the thing that Tekken 7 told us, no matter which character they pick, that character will 100% be broken. Busted, pay to win, best character in the game. And I know all of the Anna mains and Eddy mains and all these other mains are frustrated, but I can guarantee once your character's added into the roster and they're the best thing on the planet, you're gonna love it. I said this before and people think I'm playing when I say this. I really would take Yoshimitsu off the roster. I'm a Yoshi main. I would take him off the roster and I would put him as DLC and I would put Anna or Eddy or whoever you guys want in his place. Because I know when Yoshimitsu shows up in a year, he's going to be the most deadliest thing in the game and will maintain that way for like 4 or 5 years, the whole lifespan. Look at Marduk, look at Julia. These characters dominated the whole entirety of Tekken 7, and I would want that for Yoshimitsu. Give me a pay-to-win DLC buff. I'll wait 1 year, I'll play some Jack, I'll play some Aquafina, I'll play whoever, right? But the moral of the story, I agree with High Buff Gigas. I think some popular characters were planned to be DLC since the beginning. Bears having 2 slots or not is kinda irrelevant. Getting angry at the Bears is missing the point. There's only 3 new characters on the roster. They haven't did 3 characters on the roster for Tekken in a very long time. Tekken just has a lot of cool characters, you know. 4 will be in DLC Season 1, and then you will still have another 20 that players are demanding. That's just what happens when you have a lot of cool characters, and also when you have the devs trying to save stuff for DLC and sell it to us for later. Who would you buy? Would you buy Panda, Kuma DLC, or would you buy Eddy, Anna DLC? It's obvious who we will buy and who they will sell to us. It's obvious.